Every day, every week on your GLP-1 medication is not going to be the same. And I'm going to give you a few examples on why. Hey everybody, it's Allie. I'm on a fantabulous weight loss journey. I've lost 56 pounds on Mounjaro. And today I'm going to be talking to you about why you really need to see it through when you're on a specific dose and why things can vary from day to week. So I have been on Mounjaro 5 milligram for many weeks now, and I am noticing that not every day and not every week is the same. So there are days that I have super appetite suppression, super suppression of food noise, and then there'll be a day or two when I don't. Now, normally, because of the medication's half-life, I find that I will start to have less appetite suppression and more hunger in the days leading up to my next injection. However, this week has been very interesting. Let's back it up to Friday. Friday night is my injection day. So I do my injection like normal. I'm currently doing a little experiment where I only do my injection in my torso, stomach area for this month because I'm trying to see if that makes a difference on how much weight I lose versus the thigh, which is my favorite spot. So still more to come on that. Stick around for those updates. So this week, right? So I did my shot. Everything was normal. Appetite suppression going strong Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and into Tuesday. Wednesday, I was hungry. I'm talking super hungry. And I was like, I wonder if I'm going to have this extreme hunger, right? And I'm talking about extreme hunger. I'm not talking about normal hunger cues, because those are normal, right? And you should have normal hunger cues while on a GLP-1 medication. I'm talking about extreme hunger that kind of hits you out of nowhere. So, very hungry. And I was like, okay, well, it's probably because my suppression has been going strong for many days. And I fell under my calorie goal a couple of those days, right? So my calorie goal is my deficit. And then I was even falling just a little bit short of that, trying to get in the calories for the day. So I was like, okay, Wednesday, my body's going, hey, we're not getting enough food. So I made sure to reach my calorie goal. I even bumped up my fat intake a little bit. I was not as strict with carbs. And for those of you who may not know, I am diabetic. So while I don't strictly restrict carbs, I am mindful of the carbs that I'm consuming. So I wasn't even as mindful. I was like, okay, my body's telling me that I need food. I'm gonna listen. So then comes Thursday, appetite suppression going strong as if it was the day after my injection. And I'm like, who are you? And how did you get here? You're not supposed to be here, right? Because kind of Thursday and then Friday are like my normal days where I have reduced food noise. I have minimal appetite suppression and right, I track all my calories, I'm on top of everything. So I'm like, what's going on with this super suppression? Now today's Friday, right, shot day, appetite suppression going strong. And I'm like, what's happening? So this is why this week has been a perfect example of why I tell people, especially when they're first starting out on their weight loss journey on a GLP-1, every day and every week is not going to be the same. These medications, because of how they're absorbed, and if you'd like to, Google the research on that, you absolutely can. Because of how they're absorbed, there's not that level of consistency that we see with other types of medications. For example, if you're on a blood pressure medication, you take your medication, you might have some side effects, you get used to the side effects, you may need to bump up your dose, right, to get your blood pressure down, and then you kind of stabilize and everything's the same. Then you just take that medication and then it controls your blood pressure, right? With GLP-1 medications, that's not the case. And if you're just starting out, you're not going to see the nuances and differences and just ride it out, right? And you'll see many people in the support groups that post in a panic and they're like, oh, you know, I was on 2.5 for a month and then I'm on my second week of 5 and now I've got no appetite suppression and the food noise is back and I'm panicking, right? So there are a lot of things that you can do to address this. You can change your injection site, right? You can do back of the arm, you can do the stomach area, you can do top of the thigh. Sometimes that will help. You have to play around with it to see what works for you. For example, what works best for me is thigh. And everything is pretty consistent when I inject into my thigh. And the other thing that you can do is you can really take a look at your diet. Are you being overly restrictive when it comes to fat or carbs, right? Because remember, on these medications, you do not need to go on a diet. You do not need to go on a fad diet. You want to be making healthy choices, prioritizing protein, and you want to make sure that you have a correct calorie deficit number to meet, right? You're not just picking some arbitrary number out of the ether. You're not posting on Facebook and saying, what should my calorie deficit be? And then having people give you random numbers. That's not how it works. And if you need help calculating that, I have a video on how to figure that out. So you want to make sure that you're really looking at what you're eating. Do you need to increase your protein? Are you getting enough carbs? Are you getting enough fat? Is your calorie deficit too low, right? All of those things can definitely contribute. Now, the other thing that I've noticed, and I always thought that this was kind of weird, people say that if you drink 0-calorie sodas, that it will increase your hunger or cravings. And I always thought that was kind of silly. And I don't normally incorporate them into my diet. And I have noticed that over the last 3 weeks that I've kind of been doing this experiment, I have been having 0-calorie sodas. Sporadically, for the most part, I stick with my electrolytes, I stick with, flavored waters, things like that. But I have noticed that on those days where I have, 1 or 2 sugar-free soda drinks, I am hungrier. So, interesting bit of anecdotal phenomena there. So take from that what you will. I did, there were a couple of times that I had 2 and I decided to cut it back to 1, and I noticed that there was a decrease in hunger. So that's kind of interesting. And one of the things that you just learn as you go through this process, the longer you're on the medication, and specifically the longer you're on a specific dose, right? Because if that dose is working for you, then there's no need to titrate up. And I have videos on that, so go check those out. So what you kind of learn as you go is that every single day is not going to be perfect appetite suppression, perfect food noise reduction, weight loss every week, right? Like, there are going to be fluctuations, and that's okay. And you just kind of learn to ride the wave a little bit and see where it takes you. Now, sometimes it takes you to a place where you're starting to find that as you are on a dose for longer, right, that once it gets about halfway through your week, that you really start to struggle as far as food noise and appetite suppression goes. And in those cases, if you stop losing weight, you definitely want to look into going up to the next dose. But if I was to compare this week to last week, I would have been all over the place, right? Because last week, it's like, okay, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm getting hungrier. Do I need to go up in dose? And then this week, I haven't done anything differently. I'm still tracking. I eat very simply, so I'm eating the same things all the time, right? I haven't changed my exercise. Nothing has changed. But all of a sudden, I've got super suppression for the better part of the whole week. All the way. I could even not take my shot today and see how I feel tomorrow, and I would probably still have appetite suppression going strong. So it's very interesting how that works, right? Because it's all just depends on how it's absorbed in your body and how your body utilizes the medicine. So I just wanted to throw that out there for anybody who's struggling, who is saying to themselves, you know, this week was not like last week. What am I doing wrong? If you are tracking everything, if you're tracking your water, if you're tracking your protein, if you're tracking your calories, if you're tracking your exercise, it is so much easier to be able to look at the slight differences from week to week and be able to say to yourself, okay, I'm doing everything right. I haven't changed anything. So the only thing that's different is that the medication just absorbed differently this week. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. I'd love to have you around for the rest of my journey. And as always, be kind, rewind.